What is up, and welcome to LA Football Network. Your host, Will Decker, here with Ryan Dyer. We got a very special guest in the house, Megan Olivi, the UFC sideline reporter. One of the coolest jobs you can have in professional sports. How are you doing on this Friday morning leading to the Super Bowl?
Man, I'm great. Getting to chat with you guys, it's amazing. I feel awesome.
We're honored to have you. I kind of want to get into all your background, how you got to where you are today. What kind of initiated the spark to go into journalism? Because I saw you went to Seton Hall.
I did.
And then you did, was it political studies, basically, when you were there?
Yep.
What kind of made the branch out to being a sideline reporter within one of the most popular sports in the world?
Yeah, I grew up loving sports. I grew up playing sports, watching sports, and I had an internship in New York City, and it was at a news network. And I would come in every morning. I'd have to be there around 5 o'clock in the morning. I'd come in, I'd have the newspaper, and I would talk to all the guys at the studio about whatever Yankees game or Giants game happened the night before. And finally, it got to the point where they were like, listen, Megan, we love talking to you about this, but like, why don't you do this for a living? Because this is what you're talking about when you're not doing something for work. And so I think I was a junior in college towards the end of my junior year, and I was like, it's a pretty good idea. So I continued with my political science degree, but I took my GREs and I went to graduate school at Fordham University to make sure I had a degree to back up what I wanted to do. And, throughout those years, I had an opportunity to intern on a show, and I just said yes to everything, and it was an MMA show. And then I realized, my brother's a wrestler at a very high level. I know all of these guys. My grandfather and my uncle were boxers. I get all of this. And then one thing led to the other by just working really hard and saying yes and trying to be the best version of myself. And here we are. Gotcha.
Yeah. So a lot of steps along the journey to reach the heights that you are at right now. What was the one job, in your opinion, where you're like, man, because we all go through it in the sports industry. It's like, man, I have some sense of doubt on this. I got to keep kind of progressing forward to get to where I'm at today.
I mean, all of them, all the time. I think, like, if you feel like, I nailed this, I am the best, whatever. Yeah. Like, nobody in this room feels that way. Even the people at, the highest of the highs, I think every day feels like they want to make themselves and their abilities proud. And so, yes, some shows are more satisfying to do than others. Sometimes I'll walk away from a game or a broadcast and be like, I could have done so many things differently. But, I think just the desire to always grow and evolve with our ever-changing sports landscape as well is really important. And for me, it never lends itself to me thinking I've made it. It's always like, okay, the climb begins again tomorrow.
So for UFC in general, when did you get the phone call from Dana and company to make the ringside debut? Because it's such an exciting venture to make that big step up.
It is, for sure. I've worked directly for the UFC for 10 years now. And then when, the Fox broadcast deal for us was amazing. And for me personally, it was life-changing. That's how I became an NFL reporter as well, because Fox saw what I could do with UFC and they believed in me. But after the Fox deal, we signed with ESPN, and our producers decided that they wanted to try some new things. And one of those things was having me integrated in the broadcast through those walkouts, through different hits. And it's been something that has resonated with fans, and I'm really fortunate enough to continue to do, and we get to try new things all the time. And it's a very unique role in sports, and I feel really lucky to be able to do it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I'm curious, being like an East Coast girl, what was the biggest challenge or change moving to Vegas, and can you talk about just how Vegas has changed now, being like a sports mecca out here?
The biggest change, there were two big changes for me. One was that the food was a little different. I had a hard time finding broccoli rabe for a while. People were like, what are you saying?
Don't love seafood buffets?
No.
That's why you eat every day?
No. And, that's the other thing is everyone thinks, that's how we live here in Vegas. But, and the lower rent but less walkability, from New York City. But Vegas has changed tremendously. I've lived here for 13 years now, and it has just blossomed into this beautiful environment that people can now see in terms of Allegiant Stadium and all the different hotels and the massive events that we're able to host here, the Golden Knights. I mean, this is a place that has really hardworking people, and from a lot of different places in the world. There's not a ton of born and raised Vegas residents, and so to be able to see it be embraced by the world in the capacity that it is now is really amazing. As someone who considers themselves a local now, because this community deserves it.
Yeah, when it comes to the NFL and UFC, we all, have our favorite interactions, our favorite interviews. Who's your favorite fighter to interview on a sideline? And then who is your favorite NFL player, coach to interview on a sideline?
Well, I'm going to say my favorite fighter is my husband, Joseph Benavidez,
but
now retired.
Yeah.
Now retired. But I will say, listen, there's nothing like a Conor McGregor interview
Because
you just never know what's going to happen. You know the world is watching. He keeps you on your toes, and so he's a super fun interview. In terms of the NFL, I mean, I'm just grateful for every person that I can work with. I know Max Crosby pretty well. He comes to our fights all the time. He was my last interview of this season, but overall, my very favorite was also my first, which is Eli Manning. So,
nice.
Yeah.
He's blossomed since retiring too.
Yeah, I know. I love it so much. The world sees how funny he is.
Did you see? Since you mentioned McGregor, did you see he's in the new Roadhouse movie?
Oh, I am also in the new Roadhouse movie.
You?
Did I see it? Yeah.
Talk about that. What was that like being in?
It was really fun. No, it was really fun. We filmed a scene where Jake Gyllenhaal is fighting in the octagon, and there was a video that kind of went viral about people filming us because they filmed it in the middle of a fight card. So we had like a 15-minute window of no actual UFC action where we pretended there was UFC action, and they had us act over the top because something happens in that particular scene where we have to be just outraged, but over the top outraged. So I got to do that, and then Jake was at weigh-ins filming a scene, and they were like, "Wait, we want this to be authentic. We need to do like a whole scene with you." So I signed a contract right there. I'm like, okay. And so we did this whole scene with Jake Gyllenhaal, which hopefully makes the movie, or at least part of it. And it was really fun, and everyone was super lovely. And I have a Conor interview that we have a good chunk of him talking about Roadhouse, which is so funny and exciting. And hopefully they release it when the movie comes out.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, Meg, thank you so much for coming on. We had an awesome time having you. Do you have anything to promote or anything to push while you're here?
I guess, my Instagram is just out of whack, so just go to @Megan Olivi and help a girl out. So yeah, we'll say that.
There you go. Love it. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming on.